Hey everyone, this is Jose Avalos. I'm an account manager with Blue People. I have a special guest with us today for another session of Blue Live. Today we're going to be covering the topic of recruitment and how it is that we get to choose the people that get to work on the project's software needs or whatever mobile application we develop that you need. So Enrique Carro is the CEO of Blue People, and I'm going to pass it over to him so he can tell you a little bit more about himself, a little bit of his history in this industry, and how many years now has the Blue People team been active.
Hey Jose, thank you for inviting me to this talk. And yes, as you said, we're going to talk about how we recruit our team, how it's made of awesome people, and how do you manage to get the best of the best into the team. And well, I'm excited to talk about it and share with you what what's the process of what's behind the scenes.
Oh, cool. So I know this story already, but I wanted to share with everybody. What I thought was really cool about Blue People is that, of course, as a software company, you guys develop software to help you in the recruiting process, something that allows you to hire, like you said, the top of the developers out in Mexico. So can you tell us a little bit about how you guys started the software and what gave you the idea and how well is it working today?
So a few years ago, when we started having this great growth in projects and requirements, we needed to we had the need to get to reach to more people and more developers and be able to evaluate them. So we had already a established methodology that I'm going to talk about um, in some minutes about how we recruit. But here the complication was that we needed to reach as many people as possible. For example, if we wanted to get the top tier, I mean the top 5% of the engineers out there. So want to recruit 5 people, we need to interview at least 100 people, and that's very difficult um, with making a manual work. So just we decided to create a platform in which we could um, automatize all this process in an efficient way and be able to reach as many as people as we could, and then make some interviews to some of them or to the best that that we have there.
Okay, and I know a little bit about the software. So can you tell us the different parts of it? I know that there's a test, right? And if you don't pass this test, that then you don't get a chance to get an interview. Can you tell us like what is the main topic of this test?
Right, so there are different tests for the different roles, but
Hmm.
in the specific case of the developers, maybe that's the hardest part in the industry. Um, we have several type of tests. One of the main, and I think that's one that you're referring to, is the logic part or the pure logic. We want to know if the person that's going to join the company has the right skills and has the ability to transform what's out there on the real world into computer bits and bytes and into coding, right? So the first part, before we get into coding and algorithms, is how do they think? So there's a particular set of tests that aim to measure that specific part. So maybe that's the toughest, and that's the the ones in which the place where we can filter a lot of the candidates. And then there's the second part that it's more about coding. And the coding part is very interesting because it's basically aim that the idea is that you can program or solve any problem in whatever language you are used to or you are comfortable, right? So you can code, I don't know, in C Sharp, in Java, or in Python. It doesn't matter. the interesting part is how you solve it and how you think and solve the algorithm. So um, so yes, these are the two basic tests for starters.
Awesome. Well, I was recently listening to this NASA interview, and they were talking about how do they hire astronauts. How do they select them? And they also gave an extremely important part into logic, like how do you problem solve? Because when something goes wrong in the space station, you need to resort to every single thing that's in your brain, and how do you put those thoughts together to find a solution? So it's really cool to see that you guys focus a lot of your recruiting aspect onto that, like how do you solve problems. So speaking of logic, can we talk about, some companies still only use the traditional resume that includes that, hundreds of thousands of people use the same thing. Can you tell us, why is logic now becoming more important than just only having a traditional resume?
Right. So the experience is very important. Which projects have you worked on, and what challenges have you solved? It's extremely important. But here the main part for the developers or for the software engineers, as you said, is to be able to solve problems in a easy manner, or solve complex problems very easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the main thing. For example, any developer knows that throughout its day or work day or weekday or work week, I mean, they're going to be very easy stuff to make, to program, to code, to try to get to, and they're going to be very specific things that are really hard. So the difference between good developers and bad developers is that these good developers will solve this really hard stuff in an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe in a day. And developers that are not so good, the same problem, they will solve it in a lot of time. And a lot of time, I mean, 10 times more the
Got
time.
it.
And there's this really big range in time, and that's what the industry is dealing with every single day. And what we have found is that the basic ingredient is the ability that the developer has to think of the problem and to be able to solve it. So with the kind of tests that we've put on the first stages of the interviews, there are like the main the main ingredients, or the main ways that we manage to find these great developers.
Awesome. Well, thanks for explaining that. Okay, so I think by now it's extremely clear that logic is massively important in the recruiting process of Blue people. You've showed this to me before, but I want the audience to get a chance to see it. There's a quadrant that you have that explains to some of our visual learners a little bit better of where somebody would land on the Blue people, scale. So, Enrique, do you mind kind of sharing with us a little bit about that?
So yes, what we do is we try to classify every potential candidate or every potential engineer into 4 different quadrants in Blue people, and those quadrants are classified in 2 different scales. The first scale is the part of the logic. We classify the logic from the top part, the best engineers with high logic, to the worst logic. And the other scale is the experience, from the most experience to the maybe just graduating from college, or maybe even studying in college, right? And we find that, or we classify the engineers and the ones that have high logic and high experience. That's the second quadrant. Those are the masters, okay? And then we have the ones that have no logic and no experience, the third quadrant. and those are the bad ones. Nobody wants them. Not in the industry, and not blue people also. Um, and that's normal. They're not good, at least for developing or for solving complex problems in the development arena. And then we have some interesting profiles that have high experience, very, very high experience, but very small logic.
Hmm.
Um, those we call the false positives. Why? Because these persons, they can show you they've been in many projects, maybe projects similar into the ones that we develop, but once they get hands-on into a potential problem or a potential challenge, um, it's going to be tough for them, right?
Hmm.
So this we call them the false positives. And then we have on quadrant number one, the ones that have very little experience or no experience at all, but high logic. This we call them the high potential. Okay, so the interesting part of the high potential is that they can very quickly manage to go from low experience to high experience and to be masters a lot faster than if those on the third quadrant.
Got it.
And the aim, the target for the engineer that we hire is the top part, the very very top part of the first and second quadrant.
Hmm.
Independently, they have uh, a lot of experience or non-experience, but the top part it's the best source for engineers. So this way we are hiring in a very different scale as most of the companies in the industry are. And we managed to solve very complex problems no matter the language or the technology that, that we have in front of us.
Well, thanks for that explanation. I think that's again another example of the importance of logic on with every employee at Blue People. So let's talk about, let's say somebody's watching this video right now and they say, awesome, my team is very logic driven too. I'd love to get a software company that focuses that much on logic to create my, my solution. So can we speak about the range of time it takes to get a team ready to work on a project? I know that at this moment there is a large pool of talent that Blue People already has, but say you guys continue to get busy, what's usually the range to get a team ready to start writing lines of code for a client?
So yes, that will depend a lot on the talent we have available at that specific time for the particular project and the actual experience of technologies that is needed, so that the onboarding can be as fast as possible, right? So once we understand your particular needs and requirements, um, we can manage to assemble a team um, in as fast as a couple of days to maybe a couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, one thing that I really want the audience to know is about Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico. That's how you pronounce the double R's in the name. But can you tell us why Monterrey is so important to the success that you guys have had so far?
Yes, so Monterrey is located on the northern part of Mexico, and one of the characteristics of the city is that it holds the best universities of Mexico. We have Tec de Monterrey, we have UDEM, we have um, uh, Universidad Nuevo León, the state university, and they have great, talented engineers, and especially in areas of IT, um, we have been recognized as or their engineers have been recognized as the best of the best, right? There are even companies such as Google and Microsoft or Facebook that are constantly recruiting on these universities here in Monterrey. Um, because they know that there is great talent here, and this has been a great source also for our success.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for all that. And I have one final question that I think some people want to know. How good are the tacos in Monterrey?
So they're awesome. We actually invite all our clients and potential clients evenly to come here to Monterrey and meet the team, and afterwards we can get some tacos and maybe some tequila, or even
Awesome.
participate in the Friday shots. That is a dynamic that we have every Friday with the whole team, where we celebrate for the achievements of the week.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully some people take that opportunity and get a chance to travel down to Monterrey. I know it's a fairly short car drive and an even shorter flight. So it helps out that you guys are nearby and that you're very familiar. We're both familiar with each other's culture because we're so close. And yeah, well, Enrique, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your time. I know the audience loves hearing from the CEO of the company who's driving the vision and the mission statements of the team. And again, logic is very important. Thanks for making sure that every teammate of the of Blue People has that installed in them, and that they get to showcase that in the work that they do by creating different solutions and software for the clients. You have any last words for the people watching?
Well, first, thank you, Jose, for the invitation, and yes, we welcome you to meet our team, meet our developers in person, or if we can't meet in person, maybe virtually. And thanks for the invitation and for the space.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Bye.